Welcome to the show. In the last episode, I gave you all the questions to ask so you can hire the perfect realtor for a first-time home buyer. And now we're going to go deeper into what constitutes what I call a unicorn realtor. And don't let that foofy name fool you. You're going to want to hear this. Play that music.
How to Buy a Home educates, protects, and connects first-time homebuyers to qualified vetted realtors in their area. Whether you're looking for DIY information or step-by-step guidance, How to Buy a Home is the #1 resource for first-time homebuyers.
Hey, what's happening, How to Buy Homies? I'm David Sidoni, and it's time for the annual What the Hell is a Unicorn Realtor episode. Now, this concept was created through an evolution of events, and it started 8 years ago, and it's grown into what How to Buy a Home is today. Over 2 million downloads of the podcast and tens of thousands of renters turning homeowners each and every year through the education platform, and yeah, unicorns. I understand. Maybe that makes you cringe a little bit. I feel you on that one. I'm fully aware of how cheesy it sounds to be talking about magical unicorns, but in this case, I want to give you the backstory on it. See, the title of unicorn was born when I was watching ESPN. Yeah, they were describing an athlete who had all the usual greatness, plus some exceptional talents above and beyond. These were extra gifts that were so phenomenal, so unusual that they were unicorns. Something that people didn't think existed, like a 330-pound offensive lineman that could sprint like a 185-pound Olympic track star. All right, here's the full unicorn origin story and how their rare gifts have made miracles happen for tens of thousands of first-time homebuyers, and how you can leverage their special gifts to make your 2026 home buying dreams come true. Now, the lore started back in 2018 when, after a dozen years in real estate, I was sitting at the top of my game, but I was totally burning out from the grind. My wife actually looked at me one day and she's like, dude, you're only really happy when you're working with the first-time home buyers. So there I was in 2018, 12 years into a real estate career, and I decided, screw it. I'm going to follow my passion. I'm going to quit my broker and start over. I had learned a lot watching the inner workings of the real estate industry, and the biggest lesson I found, first-timers get treated like garbage. In the last episode, I explained to you the shocking statistics on licensed realtors, with air quotes for sure. I also revealed that the entire real estate profit model is almost 100% built on serving home sellers. First-time home buyers aren't just middle priority. They're not just low priority. They are the ultimate bottom. They're seen as low profit, expendable customers, and truly only to be used as on-the-job training for the newbie real estate agents. And those people, the realtors that just got their license, that bar is set so low. All they had to do was pass a DMV-style test. And then after that, they receive zero training on the intricacies of serving and, most importantly, protecting first-time home buyers. So I thought, fine, what if I started over? What if I built an entire business dedicated to educate and empower them? Could I still make a living that way by sharing what I had learned to help fill this huge void in the industry that wasn't giving the consumers the respect and the level of service that they deserved? Could I build a viable business that also had a fulfilling purpose? So I hatched my plan, 2 birds, 1 stone. I could love my work and help more people avoid terrible experiences because of this deeply flawed, unethical, and corrupt profit business model that is designed for a mass volume of transactions for the real estate companies rather than designed on the success of their clients. So I went nuts, quit the broker, took a full year off to research what I was doing. So I dug deep. I mean, I couldn't be the first one that thought about this, right? And as I dug, oh man, the more disheartened and disgusted that I became. I talked to a lot of smart people. I read about a lot of smart people. And yeah, the real estate industry, they're definitely smart enough to know about this. They just didn't care. They decided that rather than build their businesses to serve first-time home buyers, they're just going to neglect them completely, and it's all for ego, greed, and profits. So that whole year, all of 2018 and the beginning of 2019, I spent all of my free time, every single waking moment, filling notebook after notebook after notebook with ideas and business plans, one that could grow with a more traditional, ethical, old school business philosophy that, sadly, you just don't see that much anymore. It was real simple. Focus on serving customers at the highest standard, not looking for the highest profit margin. Build something great, be transparent about the company mission, and then you know what? The rest will take care of itself. itself. So my original intention was to add a first-time homebuyer specialized division, an education and advocacy team that was going to be part of my Southern California real estate team. They'd be competent, but they'd also be serving first-time homebuyers with the respect and importance that they deserve. And then by offering this superior level of service, we'd build profits the traditional way by putting the needs of the client first. And that first year, man, not gonna lie, it was freaking exhausting, but it was totally exhilarating. And then one day I heard an entrepreneur that I respected on a podcast, and he was discussing using podcasts as educational tools for your own clients. Duh, I'm sitting here listening to a podcast that's helping educate me. Maybe this is something I should do. I knew that our Southern California buyers that we were trying to talk to and give all this education to, they were super busy people. So if I had a podcast, they could listen on their own time and they could get the free and simple clarity that they were dying to get. And they could get it whenever they were doing the stuff that they wanted to do, walking the dog, washing the dishes, or driving to work. So I built it on the philosophy that giving away all the education and empowerment for free, it's all I needed to do. I'd snag a few buyers who appreciated the free gift that I was giving and the clarity of the expertise that I was putting out there for anybody. So March 2019, I launched the podcast. Then, to my really big surprise and shock, people everywhere were so thirsty for this information. Not that kind of thirsty. I meant craving the clarity from all the confusion that's out there for first-time homebuyers. They appreciated the honest coaching, something that could help them actually succeed. So next thing I know, I got people all over the country asking me, hey, are there any realtors like you in my city? Well, that lit my passion even more. And I was super excited to get started. And then the whole thing was promptly kicked right in the groin by 2020 and COVID. But I took those lemons I got from the grocery store and wiped down with baby wipes, and I turned them into lemonade. Lockdown ended up being a giant blessing in disguise. In between binging Tiger King and Ted Lasso, I built the framework of what How to Buy a Home is today. I decided, let's go ahead and look to build something nationwide that would put the highest level of customer service first. And I could do that for first-time homebuyers from coast to coast. I was not trying to build an empire. I could just help the podcast listeners that were asking me for help. Now, if you've listened to any of my previous episodes, you know that I offer hope to first-time homebuyers through my best friend, math. Well, get this, How to Buy a Home was built on math too. I ran the numbers. Every year, there's an average of 5 million real estate transactions that happen. And back in 2018, first-time homebuyers, they were averaging about 33% of the 5 million transactions. So that's 1.65 million first-time homebuyers each and every year. That number's dropped a bit. In 2025, we're down to only 21%, but that's because first-time homebuyers are totally ignored and not being taught the lessons to succeed. There's more on that in episode 426 and hell, pretty much every other episode of the podcast. I could flip the script. I could build a national company exactly the opposite of the big real estate model. Instead of playing the huge numbers game with a massive network of underrated and underqualified realtors who are trying to serve 1 million of the 1.56 million first-time homebuyers every year, I would just build a very small group, an elite team of intensely vetted first-time homebuyer specialized realtors. And to be in this elite group of realtors, you've got to be what I think of as a service freak in the industry. The same way that ESPN called someone a freak in a good way, these were service for the first-time homebuyer freaks, unicorns. And if people wanted a connection, I'd give it to them because I learned an old principle that I loved when I was growing up. When there was someone who did an excellent job serving people in any capacity, well, then those people ended up trusting that person for advice when they needed someone else, someone different to serve them with a different need or perhaps in a different area. So they'd go back to their trusted source, someone who did a great job for them, and ask them for a recommendation. And then that pro would be stoked. They'd love to help them out. They loved the fact that they were a trusted source for the people that they had served. And then they would say these words, I know a guy. And yes, I know it's 2026 and it should be, I know a person. But remember, this is my backstory. This was back in the 80s. So I had the building blocks. I had the foundation because I already knew some of the premier first-time homebuyer specialists all over the United States. Because in my 12 years of real estate, I had done a ton of traveling and conferences and networking with realtors all over the country at top masterminds that happen multiple times a year. Now, I did that because one day, I don't know, maybe one of my clients from Southern California gets a job transfer to someplace else, or they decide they can't afford Southern California. I want them them to be taken care of. So back when this whole thing started, I already had a core group of unicorns built from my old philosophy, the I know a guy or a person principle. So post-COVID, I gave the podcast listener two options. I would lay out everything I know about the process for free. I'd give them the ultimate coaching, education, and empowerment guide so they could buy their first home with all the insider secrets on how to beat what's a rigged system. And one of the core tactics to do that I tell everybody in every episode is that first-time homebuyers need to find an experienced local team that prioritizes first-time homebuyers. So listeners could then, 1, take the free information and find their own first-time homebuyer specialist, or 2, they could ask me if I knew any unicorns in their area. You know I did the math, love me some math. I knew that all I needed was a small fraction of first-time homebuyers to use the unicorns, and I could keep the podcast and all the content free for everybody because there'd be some small profits made on an old real estate referral-based system. What happened is decades ago, real estate companies created this referral recommendation system because they realized that some clients are going to move out of the area. So they set it up where realtors could refer their clients from one area to a realtor in another area. And if they end up buying with that realtor, then the original realtor who referred them out, a small referral fee is paid back to that person. Now, that client is totally free to interview other agents as well as the recommended agent. And then if they close with the recommended agent, and only if they close, that's when the small referral fee is paid back to the referring realtor as well as their real estate company. And I got to tell you, gang, it ain't much. So that's the original system set up decades ago, but leave it to the real estate industry to completely bypass and destroy the ethical principles of what was supposed to be a client-centric system. Unscrupulous people started to exploit the system by building all these pay-for-play referral lists. They'd have people pay them so they could be on their list of top recommended realtors. They'd start to build real estate websites that would then attract home buyers and home sellers. And when you came in, they would then refer you, quote unquote, to their list of people, which completely consisted of any realtor or lender who was willing to pay them. For you, the consumer, you were being bought and sold to the highest bidder on their giant list of whoever paid to get on that list. And the biggest culprits of this, Zillow. Oh, they've been doing this for 20 years now. And everyone else has followed suit. Redfin, Realtor.com, Homes.com. Dave Ramsey even has a service like this. And recently, I've been seeing a ton of new first-time homebuyer referral websites and programs out there. They're popping up and they're dropping minuscule partial bits of education, trying to capture you, bring you in. And then they offer to you, the buyer, access to their preferred list of realtors and lenders. But make no mistake, these lists have nothing to do with the expertise or the competence of the recommended experts or specialists or preferred pros. These people, they're not vetted in any way. Oh, except they are vetted by their willingness to pay a subscription fee to be recommended from that list. Oh, a side note, Zillow just got sued in 2025, big time for this practice. And expect to see a whole bunch more buyers and sellers filing lawsuits because this referral system is often not disclosed properly. I know, it's crazy. Thanks to technology, people are trying to take advantage of everybody out there who's just trying to find answers. So that's what I did. I just built it the way that I felt comfortable with. Give it all away for free. All the unicorns, they are personally vetted by me, and I set an extremely high standard. They're not just good, and they're not just great, they're exceptional. So as I was building my unicorn network, eventually, even some of my original core realtors, friends that I had talked to for years and years and years, they weren't living up to the new standard of service that I was expecting for first-time homebuyers. So I had to create a new term. I had unicorns, and then I also had donkeys. Yeah, I spent years interviewing at the very beginning of doing the podcast, a ton of unicorns, new unicorns, old unicorns, and re-interviewing the realtors. And to this day, I constantly monitor them to make sure that they're living up to the integrity of the unicorn title. They have to follow my very strict guidelines. One, they have to be unicorns. They have to believe in the mission. And then two, they have to have a fully trained unicorn support staff, people who are supporting them and helping you achieve everything that you should be able to achieve, including unicorn lenders specializing in first-time home buyers. Number 3, if they're a larger team and they have buyer agents, I have to vet each and every one of those people too. Make sure that they have been trained correctly. And then number 4, this one's interesting, but you'd be surprised how many unicorns I had to turn into donkeys, because I just asked everybody, because every good agent I know had this. I was like, hey, let me see your client-centric systems in place, things that you offer buyers and sellers after the sale. I wanted to see that they had a system and a template for checking in after they had worked with buyers and sellers after the sale. I wanted to see if they had systems in place, for checking in with them if they had any questions about contractors or warranties or refinancing. I wanted to make sure that they had their own vetted list of local, I know a guy, I know a person, home vendors, a list of people that they had worked with before and their other clients had worked with contractors and roofers and plumbers, electricians, all those people. The goal was unicorns don't just focus on the deal. I make sure that unicorns, that they serve buyers well after the deal is done. So that's my system. I've never charged realtors to be on the unicorn list or to be a unicorn. How to buy a home, the whole thing, it runs on the very small referral fees only if the buyer chooses to work with a unicorn, and only then if they work all the way to getting the keys. And today, with an audience of over 2 million downloads, I could be making major money by selling subscription fees to be on my list. I could sell that unicorn title, but I haven't, and I never will. I could expand my small elite network to a giant referral list of untested and unverified realtors like everybody else does, but I'm not going to do that because I believe that you deserve way better than that. And I've also done the math, and I know that I can be just fine serving just a portion of the people who understand and believe in this system. I wanted to build a revolution that finally put the first-time homebuyers first because ain't nobody else doing it. And it's helping lots of people, and I'm really humbled to hear it. Over the years, any of those small profits that were coming in, every single dime, I was putting directly back into how to buy a home so I could offer more and more free education to everyone that wanted to consume it. And as we've grown, I've had several offers from people who want to buy and sell my audience. I'm talking commercials and sponsorships and some other big things as well. But to remain transparent and true to the mission, I've never accepted any of these offers. I don't sell you guys to the highest bidder in any capacity. My mission has always been to create a safe and transparent educational system, a business built 100% on customer satisfaction first. I personally know that tens of thousands of people out there listen to the podcast and never use a unicorn. They take the information, and because I give it all away for free, and they find their own realtor, and it's awesome. Remember, I love math. I know the numbers. The more people that break the vicious cycle of the corrupt real estate industry and all the practices out there that are working against you, the more people that go against that and use this information to succeed, then there are more people that they will tell about it, and how to buy a home will continue to go on. I love it. I get photos from people in front of their new home all the time who I've never heard of before. They've never reached out to me, never asked for a unicorn, but they still just want to take a minute to thank me for the advice and the coaching that led them to becoming homeowners. Rad. Viva la revolution. I know the math, and I'm not going to sacrifice the integrity of the unicorn title. And the validation for the unicorn difference, it's right there in the over 100 interviews in the podcast library. They're real stories from real people, and they pretty much explain everything that I'm trying to do here. I don't see any of the other referral networks out there doing even one interview with a satisfied customer, and I'm pretty sure I know why. So that's the origin story of unicorns and how they came to be, and how my office is filled with things that make me look like I'm in a little kid's room. Great, so you can laugh and make fun of me, but now let's get into what really matters to you. How do you benefit from all this unicorn stuff? What's in it for you? Well, here's the unicorn difference. And as I mentioned in the last episode, this is the level of service that you should demand from your realtor. You have the power in this situation, so hire the best. So what's the unicorn standard? The simple answer is there's someone who treats every first-time home buyer like they're a $10 million seller. They're relationship first, not commission first. A unicorn realtor or lender is the rare professional who combines these things. A, mastery. B, ethics. C, education. And D, advocacy. And I know if you've never had a chance to talk to a real estate agent yet, you sort of assume that's what everybody has. Oh no, check the numbers in the last episode. So these unicorns, they're not magic, they're just exceptional. And these are the unicorn traits that deliver massive real-world advantages for you as a buyer. Broke them down for you. Number one, a unicorn realtor or a unicorn lender, they're strategic advisors well before you ever look at a home. They are so much more than checkout clerks for a home that you found on Zillow. They are not door openers or rate quoting vending machines. I can't emphasize this one enough. This is everything. You save tens of thousands of dollars, even hundreds of thousands of dollars when a strategic advisor, through their expertise planning and patience with you, help you discover all of your options as a buyer before you ever go look at homes together. This is where the deal in getting the best deal happens months before you ever go to look at homes. And the majority of realtors don't have a clue about all of your options, let alone understand how to help you plan to maximize your power as a buyer. Your power is unleashed through the expertise in your real estate support team, setting you up in the most advantageous way possible. And that takes the skill and the patience of a unicorn. Every single first-time homebuyer horror story I have ever heard or read about, I look at it and it all comes down to one thing. The buyer was never advised on how to strategically set themselves up for maximum success before they set out making offers on homes. Period. The end. Curtain. 2. And as you're going through this process, remember, you have the power to hire a unicorn who has mastery over the entire process, whose only goal is to set you up for your own personal best possible outcome. This is going to not only avoid the disaster for you, but it's going to gain you the greatest results because they put your interests first. And that all begins in the pre-planning phase of the process. Or they're willing to show you how to best move quickly if that's the best result that you're going to get. And they have the skills to show you how to do either one. You're treated as a human, someone who has a variety of goals. You're not looked at as a paycheck. There's never any pressure from a unicorn. A unicorn understands that first-time home buyers often need more education and more runway than most regular buyers, and they willingly do that for your benefit. The unicorns thrive knowing that the more preparation, the more options you'll find, the more things you will discover. And again, those options, that's your power. And it all starts with you demanding a realtor who understands how to do this all for you. Now, how to do that with your realtor, it's all detailed in episode 389. And of course, you can always go back to the 10 steps, the number one trusted first-time homebuyer 10-step program in the entire country. That starts at episode 400. The number 2 unicorn advantage, name power, baby. Who you hire matters, and it can give you enormous leverage just based on your unicorn's name and reputation in the area. When you hire a badass boss realtor, their street cred, oh man, that can save you big time money. Your agent's reputation, that precedes all the numbers and terms written on your offer. And that can be a priceless advantage to you in negotiations when you're trying to buy a home. Who you have writing the offer can literally determine how much weight your offer holds to the seller and the realtor representative for that seller. It's important to know the listing agent, the realtor on the other side, they're not just looking at the highest price. They're not just looking at the numbers on the contract. They're looking at the buyer's realtor, their agent, as well as your lender, because they want to really verify and double check the ability of this team to bring everything to the finish line for their seller. This matters. Game knows game. And a rookie or unprepared realtor or lender, it's painfully obvious to the other realtor and is more often than you think the reason why you might lose your chance at your dream home because of how it was presented and who's presenting it. Your realtor's rep puts massive leverage in your hands. Your realtor's reputation, it's there, it's built. They've been working on that for years. You don't have anything to do with it, but you know what? It puts massive leverage into your hands as a buyer. Unicorn advantage number 3, they are strategically creative, not recklessly optimistic. Anybody, when you run into a problem, will go, hey, we'll figure it out. What the unicorns say is, all right, here we are. There are 3 paths for this. 3 options we have set up all in our pre-planning. We've already gone through that these could happen. And here's the 3 ways we're going to go. Here's the trade-offs for each one. And here's the one that protects you the most. And they can do that because they've done the pre-planning with you and because they have mastery of everything that's going on. They know the market. They know the contracts. They know the appraisals, the way things are working with that. They understand the timelines in the contract, the current negotiation tactics, down payment assistance options, creative affordable loan options. And they even understand, how the sellers are acting because they're active in the marketplace. Are they giving seller credits at this time? And they also know what's going on in the neighborhoods, and they know how to protect you and when you should bail on a deal. And of course, Unicorns will help you do that without losing your earnest money deposit. They know all this stuff because they've seen all this weird stuff before. And then the fourth one, the explanation of these cornerstone traits of a unicorn, someone that's going to protect you and uplift you as a buyer. Number 4 is they adhere to their fiduciary duty to you. Now, if you don't know what that is, when a realtor is acting as your agent, you sign a disclosure that says you're going to be my representative. And within that, there is a fiduciary duty. That is the highest duty known to the law. It's always about putting the client's interest first. They're going to be someone that clearly explains the risks, and they'd rather lose a deal than let you buy the wrong home. That's what makes a unicorn a freak in the good way. They're a chess master with ninja skills, and that is very rare. Right now, there's 3 million licensed real estate agents out there, and there's only currently 316 unicorns. The math on that one, that's 0.01%. And I'm curating the list intensely all the time. There's over 400 donkeys that once were unicorns, but didn't meet my standard of what you guys deserve. So when I say that the unicorns are elite, I don't need to say it. I just let the math speak for itself. 0.01% of licensed real estate agents. And the unicorns aren't magic. They're just incredibly rare. So there it is. That's the original story of how unicorns came to be and what's happening here at How to Buy a Home and the definition of a unicorn realtor and a lender. And there's even more detail if you want way back in episode 229. But when it comes down to getting the most advantages that you can as a first-time home buyer, it all boils down to just one word: choice. If there are lower prices and lower interest rates, that's the more choice you have as a home buyer. The more loan programs and affordability grants and programs that you're aware of, the more choice you have as a home buyer. The more money that you've saved through your pre-planning, well, then the more choice you're going to have as how you structure the purchase of the home so it benefits you best. And right now, 2026 inventory is increasing. That means the more choice you have as a home buyer. And all of these choices, that one word that matters, they will 100% drastically change your ability to buy the best option for you. And all of these choices, that one word that matters, choice, they're 100% going to drastically change your ability to buy the best option for yourself. But the real choice that affects how you take advantage of all these other choices is the first choice that you have in selecting the very best first-time homebuyer specialist in your area. And you have the power to do that. Go to the last episode, take the questions, and find yourself your own unicorn. Or if you want to, you can go to howtobuyahome.com and ask for an established vetted unicorn. That choice, that's up to you as well. And of course, I want you all to feel confident and not confused about this whole process. So there is a ton of free and general education on the entire process. Like I said, it starts at episode 400. That's the number one trusted 10-step first-time homebuyer process in the country. And you can also check the show notes. That's where we're going to put the episode guide. That gives you everything that you're looking for, and you can find it in the podcast library. I'm serious. I've been doing this since 2019. It's everything you could ever want to know about how to buy a home. And in there, you're also going to find over 100 interviews, so you can hear from real people to see how they turn themselves from renters into buyers. And since I did my whole backstory and you know a little bit about me, you know that I'm not getting paid and I'm not getting sponsorships from anybody. And all this education and empowerment, it's free. But I would love to grow this revolution through the word of the people. So if you could help us boost the algorithm by writing a quick review, you can do that on Apple or Spotify. It helps a lot. Not just 5 stars, but really just take a minute. Just write something down there, because those words, that's going to keep the revolution going. The algorithm's going to send us out to more people, and more deserving people can get the information they deserve. And then they can do what they want with it. There's no catch. There's no strings. It's just straight up trying to change the game from the inside for the good of the people. So happy planning in 2026. And remember, you can do this.
Looking for more DIY education or your own personal step-by-step guidance through the home buying journey? Since 2019, How to Buy a Home has been the #1 resource for first-time home buyers. So visit howtobuy.com to get started.